Hey folks, my name is Ryan Gurnett, and welcome to Side Quest During the Apocalypse. This is one of our weekly sales videos, and this is the console edition. So, in the past, we've covered Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PS4. We're mostly taking Xbox out of there, because if you have the Xbox, you're playing on Game Pass, and their sales kind of suck. So let's start off with the PS4 this week. First off, we have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. If you didn't play these games when they came out, or you're a little younger and you weren't old enough, this is a great collection of games. The first one is, it has its flaws, certainly. I'd probably give that one about a 7 out of 10. But Uncharted 2 and 3 are still both amazing games. They're fantastic pieces of storytelling. They have the most wonderful, huge Indiana Jones-style set pieces. And especially if you're a fan of Last of Us or something like that and you haven't played these yet, get on this. You're getting 30 hours of game time at least for only $10 at 50% off. And this is, if you don't have it, this is absolutely something you should get into. And next up, we have Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's in the very, very close to the same vein as the Uncharted games, since they didn't get them on Xbox, I guess. But this game is excellent. Out of the relaunch of Tomb Raider, I'd say this is my favorite game out of the three that they did. I think the story's the best. I love the hunting and crafting. Everything really just works out well in this game, and for a solid 20-hour game, or it even gets close to maybe 40 to 45 hours if you're a completionist, for $6, like, absolutely jump in on this. You don't need to have played the one before it, and honestly, you don't need to play the one after it either, but this is, out of that trilogy of games, this is the one you want to make sure that you play. Everything about it's just a whole lot of fun. And next up, we have both Final Fantasy VII, which is on sale at half off for $7.99, and we have Final Fantasy VIII, which is on sale also for 50% off at $9.99. Man, these are two fantastic games, and they're also very different. Final Fantasy VII kind of set the bar for modern turn-based role-playing games. If the remake is more action-y and that's kind of your thing, that's great, but for me, I love the turn-based style of the game. And 8 went in a very different direction, where you are all students at a moving school that flies through the air sometimes. I think that might be a spoiler, sorry about that. But you're students for hire as soldiers, and it has a unique drawing system, and it can be a bit polarizing, but I think it's interesting to kind of see the evolution as it goes along, and I think they're both great games, especially for that price, and especially for the amount of hours you're going to put into them. And next up, we have Ratchet & Clank on the PS4. Oh, I had never really enjoyed a Ratchet & Clank game before. I love this game. All of the weapons are really, really fun. And whether you're playing as Ratchet or Clank here, who does some small little side mission stuff, you're always having a good time. There's always interesting things on the map to collect. There's always varied types of things, whether it's just straight up action or platforming or like launching yourself through the air. There's always different stuff to have, and I love the way that you power up your weapon by using it. That is, to me, an all-time favorite kind of mechanic to have in a game, and this does it really, really, really well. And this is a game I can't say enough good stuff about. So, check it out. It is, $10, worth it completely. This is a AAA game right here. Resident Evil Revelations 2 Deluxe Edition. Now, I will mention this is also on sale on the Switch for $7.99, but it's not the Deluxe Edition. The Deluxe Edition for $4 more on the PS4 has all of the DLC. So that is a great reason to recommend this package. Now, I'll tell you this. I love Resident Evil 4. I love Resident Evil 7. And if you're looking for the best Resident Evil game in between those, Resident Evil Revelations 2 is the best of those games. You can go co-op if you want, though it's definitely kind of weird. You have to have a friend who's definitely interested in one of the characters just points a flashlight, as you'll see in this clip here. So you got to make sure, if you're going to go co-op, that you know ahead of time that only one person gets to be the gun wielder. But it makes for a lot of interesting strategizing and unique gameplay, and this really feels like 4 the way it should be. And then next up, Virginia. I love this game. Virginia is X-Files meets David Lynch for me. I'm not a big X-Files fan, but I'm a huge David Lynch fan. The whole story is told without any dialogue at all as you kind of wander through this. It's almost like a surreal dreamscape, almost how the scenes kind of fold from one end to the other, and how some things you see them and they're just really obvious and right in front of your face, and other things you have to look for subtext or hidden meanings. And God, for $2.19, grab this game. It is an absolute. There isn't an experience like it that I've played on the PlayStation, so I would absolutely. I think I played through this one 3 times to help get, twice to get my platinum trophy, and then the third time I played through it with my wife because I thought she'd really like it too, and she did. So yeah, get your hands on this if you're into any of the sort of narrative storytelling kind of games. It's absolutely worth it. Next up, we have Nova 111. This was a PS Plus game from really, really early on the PS4, and it's a nice, cute little game. It's kind of turn-based movement, so every time you move, the bad guy moves, and you can kind of see how that works. And the scenes you're seeing here. It has nice puzzles. You're working to help save a whole bunch of scientists and bring them back home safely. This isn't necessarily a game I'd always go out of my way to recommend on here, but for $1.49, holy cow, it is absolutely worth it. This was a game I had a ton of fun playing my first playthrough. I made it all the way through. I had a really good time. So I don't know why you wouldn't try out a good game for $1.49. I'm all over that. And next up, we have our Nintendo Switch games for the week. And first up, we have Jackbox Party Pack 2. Man, any of these games are fun. You can play them with your phone, so you don't need a whole bunch of controllers. You can do it online with your friends. You can play on Twitch. You can play on Zoom. There's a million different ways to play with people, either online or in the same room. Anytime I have a big party over and there's a bunch of people and we're looking for something to play, one of the Jackbox Party Packs always makes it out. And for me, I think 50% is a really good price point on really all the games. I usually wait for them to hit that price before I go and purchase them. This one includes games like Quiplash, where you try to see who can come up with the funniest joke. It has Fibbage, which is a game like Balderdash, where you're trying to come up with the best fake definition for a word. And it's a ton of fun. And I would absolutely recommend checking it out. I mean, if you haven't gotten on this yet, you're not doing party games properly. You are partying wrong. And next up, we have Dadish. I recently beat this game. We have a playthrough video that is posted on the channel that you can check out. This was a really... I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of it, but it's a really excellent platformer. There's a lot of interesting challenges. At the end of every level, you meet with one of your turn-up children, and there's the little joke sequence that happens. And, the playthrough time, it took me about an hour or two. It's not a game that's going to take you forever. And the one thing I kind of found frustrating was I didn't like the boss battles very much. But other than that, I mean, for $2, if you're into platforming, this is a really good, inexpensive budget platformer to play. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't want to recommend this to just about anyone who's a big fan of platforming. And next up, we have For the King. For the King kind of flew under the radar for whatever different reasons. For the King can be done with either multiplayer or solo. I recommend it solo. The multiplayer just seems like it's going to add a lot of problems. So basically, you have a party of 3 members, and you are trying to... there's different maps and different quests, so you're trying to just get to the end of whatever particular quest you're doing. All your characters will level up as you go on. It's all about, boosting your stats, getting better weapons, getting enough items to keep yourself going. And the big problem people seem to have with this upon release was that it's as you see on the screen, it's a little bit RNG based. So some of it's random, so all of your dice aren't going to roll the way they should. And I see people having problems with it, but we've been doing D&D for ages, and I think that's great. Next up, we have Hue. Hue is a really fun puzzle game. Where you manipulate the colors of the background to kind of let things move around, if you will. So I wouldn't say it's easy by any means. It's not the most difficult game I've ever played, but you know, you can there's a lot of traps that are easy to jump on. There's a lot of times it's easy to get the wrong color and kill yourself. But I've played other games, like I think Wander Song had a similar element like this, where you would pick like colored notes out of a wheel like this, and I really didn't like the way it played. But then I played with this in the way that this color wheel worked, and this just felt a lot easier. Like I felt like I could jump and change colors in midair, and it was still like it wasn't uncomfortable to do that. So I think it controlled really well, and it has some good secrets. Then we have Pix the Cat. Pix the Cat's another one of those really early PlayStation Plus games I got into. Now, the single player, whatever. The multiplayer is what you want to play, and that's what all this footage is from. So you can have up to 4 players playing, and what you do is you collect these eggs. Now, you can fire them at your enemies, and that will stun them for a minute, or you use them as gas to ram into them to defeat them. And if 2 people ram into each other, it ends up being whoever has the most eggs usually wins that fight. And it's really fun. Like, it's a really fun way just to have, if you have 4 friends who just like screwing with each other and those kind of games where you're just kind of like messing each other up, like this is perfect for that. It has a lot of different levels, and it does have a single-player mode. I played it. It's a high-score game, which isn't my thing at all. But me and my friends just played the multiplayer just to kind of see what it was, and we were pleasantly surprised. Next up, we have Vertical Drop Heroes HD, which makes me think that there's a Vertical Drop Heroes SD, but I've never seen that. Anyway, this game kind of reminded me of Rogue Legacy with its the way its combat works and with the kind of the cutesy, colorful graphics. But yeah, this is a roguelike. You start off with a different character with different powers every time, and there are 10 levels to get through to get to the final boss who you're trying to beat. And along the way, you can get extra at the beginning of every level. If you've been a pacifist and you haven't like swung your sword, you get extra bonuses. If you there's little side quests in each level you can do that have different bonuses as well. You can recruit different characters to fight with you. There's actually there's more depth, I think, to it than it originally appears, because there's also like a lot of traps and little flags and ways that you're trying not to get people to notice you, because if you hit an alarm, all of a sudden you're going to go from 5 people on stage to 12. Now, what am I buying this week? I didn't say I wasn't going to mention Xbox sales, but I did get Trenga Unlimited for half price on the Xbox store. This game is kind of like a 4D Tetris. You rotate the board. You have 4 of them on each side of this cube, and lines are only eliminated when you get 4 in a row on each side of the box. So far, I'm probably about 15% of the way through it. I mean, I started doing this recording just so I could have some video of it, but to be honest, when it's around bedtime and I'm just looking for something at the end of the day to play, to kind of turn my brain off a little bit and to relax, I've been really enjoying this, and I'd absolutely recommend it if you're a fan of Tetris or kind of like any of those old school games, Dr. Mario. This is really cool, so I'd recommend checking it out. I think it was only released a couple weeks ago as well, so being able to get it for half price is pretty awesome. And that's all we have, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Please click on the subscribe button. We'd love to show you more of what we're doing as it's coming out. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SQDTA. Please follow us on our Patreon. We have so much really cool stuff at patreon.com/struggling productions. And big thanks up to Liam and Riley for helping make this video. And we really look forward to seeing you next time, guys. All right, I've been Ryan Gurnett. Thanks for joining us.